Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Yeah, JB, how are you, mate?
I'm good, CJ. How are you?
Good, mate. How's my hair? All right?
Looking good, brother.
Oh,
Hey,
good.
How you going?
How are
hey,
you, Alf?
just before we introduce our guests, we'll just acknowledge country. So you wanna lead this one off, CJ?
Yeah, certainly, mate. Certainly. Look, yeah, pay our respects and acknowledge the place we meet today, wherever you are in Australia and listening in, I guess. But for me here at Yunganbear and Bunjalung country, certainly pay my respects to the traditional owners here, as well as my mob up north, the Indingi people around Cairns, and obviously the Torres Straits is where my father's family's from. So if they're listening in, I acknowledge those guys, and of course, to our guest today in Melbourne, and as well as Jack as well, Jackie Bullman, who's also on the Gold Coast in Yunganbear and Bunjalung country. So. My respects, and also our love and our respects to go out to our elders as well, who may be listening in today. For those who are here in spirit, we welcome you here as well. So, thank you very much, Jack.
Well said, my brother. Well said. Now we've got a very special guest today, Mr. Alfie Bamblett from down Melbourne way. So just give us a little bit of your backstory, brother, and then we'll have a bit of a yarn, a bit of a laugh, and see how we go. Fire away, brother.
Far away, yeah. Well, I'm Yorta Gunditch, Mara. Gunditch on my mother's side, Yorta on my father's, as well as Wiradjuri. Bit of backstory, working wise. I've been working in the men's business for the last 13 years. I got brought into that with my father of five. You know, not everything's always gone well for me and family, and fell in the trap. I suppose there's a lot of fellows that, a lot of men and that sort of stuff, and thought, I was just too deadly. Expected a lot from my family, but, things happen. Family breakdown, which made me literally have a good look at myself, and that's pretty much how I ended up working, getting involved in the men's stuff and the men's healing. Because part of that, moving into that space, literally made me realise how strong we are and how powerful we are when we're right, when we've got support, that sort of stuff, which took me into other branches of work. So currently at the moment, I'm involved in, main focus is family violence, and I'm also involved in justice as well as education.
Beautiful.
Other branches of work. So currently at the moment,
Sorry, brother. Me just trying to get the comments. So keep going, brother. Yeah. I do apologise.
Yeah, with me justice work, I'm the chairperson of the Victorian Aboriginal Justice Advisory Committee, and as through that I have membership to the Aboriginal Justice Forum and Aboriginal Caucus for that. I am the co-chair of the Dalkjar Family Violence Action Group for the North Metro area. I wear a number of hats. I represent the Partnership Forum. I represent the Family Violence Partnership Forum on the state committee. So, and a lot of that was getting them to realise the importance of working with the whole of the family in their response. But I like to be involved in community. That's one thing my father has always been. I've got a huge family involved in social justice.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I tried not to. But, the spirits wouldn't allow it. And
it didn't work, brother.
Part of our family being involved in the conversations.
Good work. And a good story too. I think you're being a little bit modest with yourself. I know all the great work that you do down there, Alf, and I know there's so many fellas that are grateful and appreciative of the work that you do, brother. So, and not just the fellas, but the whole families as well. So, congratulations to you on all the great work that you do.
Thanks, brother.
I mean, it sounds like a lifetime of work, but and I think that I guess that for a lot of us, I suppose it makes us feel responsible. I guess makes us get involved in terms of our families, and in our community, I guess. So it's that type of stuff, I guess, that it's not like we clock in, clock out
Yeah.
kind of job, kind of work, and we have a certain, what do you call it, a buy-in, if you like. We're there because we want to be there, and we know what we can. We can only make things better for our people and our families and our mob. So it's
Yeah.
work, brother. And I think that's our job satisfaction too. It's about actually being involved in something positive and you know and I don't think you can call it work because it's kind of like your life. That's what your life is, and um, even though things can get pretty tough, it can Alpha. I know that type of work. It can be quite stressful sometimes.
Yep.
But yeah, but I think when
Yeah.
you
No.
see,
But yeah, like I said, it's I go into my work as what if this happens to me?
yeah,
At any time, I can break down. Like I was saying earlier, when I mentioned earlier, my family breakdown. I never really relied on support. Never really told my story to other people. The only time I did was when there was drugs or alcohol involved. I can talk about this now because I've dealt with that. I understand the impacts that was having on myself and my family. But it's with great support. I've known Jack for a while now and other great men. When you're constantly growing up being told as men that we're useless because we've got nothing to offer, that thing kind of breaks your heart, especially when you're young.
yeah,
No, and then I started literally, moving. I've worked since I was 16. I've done construction, over a 20-year period off and on, and I fell into that trap, going to work, coming home, expecting the house to be clean, meals cooked, that white dream, all that sort of stuff, the great Australian or American dream, white picket fence. I fell into that, literally. But I didn't rely on the cultural part of my upbringing and the reliance and relying on my people and the great support I had. But once I found it, now I won't let that go. I go out of my way. When people ask, how you going? I'll let them know. And it's not about saying, look, I'm feeling crap. It's like, I'm not just feeling good today. And, if you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. But you've got to be careful. I like you were just saying, we live it, we breathe it. Everything I do is for just what if I break down? What if my son breaks down? What if my daughters break down? What if they get into trouble legally? All those sorts of things.
And I think too, Alfie. I mean, that's spot on with what you're saying. We do need to be able to have those conversations about how we're traveling, and that's something that CJ and I have been pushing, I suppose, since we started these little check-ins, and that's what it was about. That just having those check-ins to see how others are traveling. During this time. You know what I mean? So it is really important for us as fellas to be able to talk about our concerns and issues as well. And I think too that people say that us as men don't talk, won't talk, but we know we will. In your work, Alfie, in your work, CJ, and I know in mine that our fellas will talk. We'll have a yarn if they in that safe space and they're in that well facilitated space as well. So I mean, it's something that we do. We do talk about our concerns and issues. So it just peeves me a little bit when people say we don't. So what we want to be doing here, together with you today, Alfie, is just celebrating, some of the stuff that we all do well, I guess. So yeah, so so thanks for coming on and having a yarn. Now we want to know a little bit about what's been happening during COVID-19. How's that been affecting you, or has it affected you? Or you were just saying before that you're in lockdown and you had to escape out of the suburbs there and back down to Torquay?
Yeah, no, look, I'm probably much like everyone else. I have friends who, it's conspiracy, it's all this, all those conversations. For me, it's like, what if? Why would you take the chance? When the conversations first started, watching it going overseas, and I was like, oh, hang on, this is coming this way. So what are we going to do? And as soon as they started talking about lockdown, the first time they mentioned it, I was actually camping with my son. And took 2 weeks off before it, and my daughter had a newborn baby at home. And so coming out of camping, I couldn't return back home. Going back to Melbourne, so lucky enough, the organisation I work for has this property in Torquay. They had to close down, being a camp place. They couldn't take any camps, and so I was lucky enough to come here. And I say lucky enough because on this property, I get to see kangaroos nearly every morning, all that. It's great for my spirit. It's peaceful. But at the same time, not being able to return home, it's been nearly 2.5 months. When they relaxed the conditions, I shot back home, seen the family, that sort of stuff. But it is literally like I'm saying, newborn baby at home.
Yeah.
My beautiful partner, she's over that age, within that age bracket, such as myself. So why take the chance?
Yeah.
Literally.
And I think that's a really important message too, Alfie, is why take the chance, and especially like for some of the older ones in our community and the more vulnerable ones, it's a really important message to be able to look after yourself, isn't it?
Yeah. No, definitely. Like I'll go and fill up the car every second week. I'll go into town to get some food and do the shopping. At least try and do it at least once a week.
Yep.
You don't know. Torquay being a major tourist centre in the past and that sort of stuff. Right now, the place is packed like there is no COVID.
Yeah. Okay.
There's people walking around on the holidays, still all that, and they just don't get it. For me, like I said, it's about being safe. I'm more paranoid about, like I said, my granddaughter getting sick if I go return home, my missus. I've got a mother who's been in and out of hospital over the last few months, and I want to get in that car as much as I want to and drive down there and see her and that, but I don't want a chance, being responsible for passing that on to my mum.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I like that what you say. What if? And for me, it's about what are the consequences. Are they going to be good consequences or they're not going to be good consequences? And it really depends. Do I do something or don't I do something? You know what I mean? It's really important to sort of think about what you do in these times, especially we were lucky enough to be able to move down the Gold Coast just before the lockdown happened, and and I had plans on going from here up to work every day, and because the lockdown happened, here I am stuck on the Gold Coast, which isn't a bad place to be stuck.
I was going to say there's probably worse places, CJ.
I know, mate, but we just got in time, I suppose. So, and we're thoroughly enjoying it, I guess. But and there's some of the good things maybe that come out of it. There's always two sides to the story, like you say, Alf. It's missing your family and not being able to get back there at the moment, that type of stuff. And for me, it was about leaving. Well, I've got young sons, and one's got a new bub, and we haven't, 6 months now, and the baby is, and we've probably seen them. Probably count them on our hand, how many times we've seen them. So it's, but it's going to come good, and we're going to be together again. So, we just got to be a bit more diligent and what do you call it? Resilient, I suppose.
Well, we've had 6 people from up to probably Monday. We had 6 people in our communities across Victoria that caught it, but they're all fine now. Actually, our community's been trying to pat it on the back for the way we've actually gone about it. Locking ourselves down, doing all stuff. And they've said not a lot of the other different communities have done the same. Whereas in our community, the Aboriginal community, we've done pretty much what's been necessary. Like I said, everyone's got a different opinion, and I respect that. You've got to have an opinion, but it is literally like we're saying, why take the chance, that sort of stuff. But it's literally about doing the right thing by yourself and your people, and there are things you can do. Like I was saying, it's just being smart about it.
Yeah, I think we, as Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, we've been, through things like this before. It might not have been a virus, but it's been something else, and you don't hear a lot of stuff about it nationally. How Aboriginal communities are dealing with it. And which is probably good in a way, but gee, we wish, like you say, you're getting pat on the back for doing the right thing and keeping your families and that safe. But we don't get that. You don't get that attention, I suppose. That it's not newsworthy, if you like.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, we talk about this a bit, CJ, about us being able to celebrate what we are doing well, and look, that needs to be celebrated, Alfie. The whole thing about us being able to create our own lockdown if you want, and then then there's no cases. You know what I mean? It was the same when we spoke to Renee Blackman a few weeks ago up at Mount Isa, and the communities up there were in self lockdown and doing it wonderfully well with no cases at all. So it's something that needs to be celebrated. And that's what CJ and I love to have a talk about and celebrate what we are doing well. So now we've got a few people in there to say g'day to. We've got Jan Hogan's watching. G'day, Jan. Now, Alfie, Jan is our resident from Wales over in the UK, and she watches every Friday and Monday. So, g'day, Jan. It's pretty early over there for her. She said, "Good morning, Alfie, Charlie, and Jack."
Yep.
We've got Rossi Bullman watching. G'day, Ross. He said, "Good work, lads." Ross is down in Melbourne. Down your way, Alfie. Oh, well, not quite down that way because he's in Thomastown, I think. So, who else we got there? CJ?
Got Jenny Wood. She's looking forward to today's yarn. So, g'day, Jenny. How you going?
G'day, Jen.
We got
Jen's in Canberra.
Good mate of mine up in Mackay, Phil Dempsey. He's watching as well. G'day, Phil. How you going, mate? Glad you could join us. So we've got a few on there.
Phil.
Good. It's been what time is it? It's only early yet too. Good. But no, mate. I mean, great job, I suppose, and I think great job to all of those communities out there.
Absolutely.
And it's a lot harder, I guess, being in a sort of heavily populated area than it might be in, say, up in Doomadgee, for instance, in the Gulf. So but they're still, from what Renee was saying, is that they still are pretty diligent. They practice the safe distancing, all that sort of thing, social distancing stuff. So well done to our mob anyway.
And I think too, CJ, we do have to mention the Hopetown Men's Group again, because they did something, Alfie, that was really innovative. They were in lockdown up there in Hopevale, and what they did, the men went and seen the local councillors and the police, and they got their men's group back up running while still in lockdown. So all they did was, of course, social distancing, and they got it back up. So it was really something innovative. And we had them on a couple of weeks ago, and we had 9 or 10 fellas all talking to us and telling us, how they were going during these times as well. So, so fantastic.
Yeah, one thing I noticed, well done to them. One thing I noticed since this lockdown and this virus has come, just, I don't know if other people feel that same way, but there seems to be more getting done. The feeling, there seems to be more respect. People are renewing their relationships, when they've had a row, and, there's people starting to realise that they don't want to be carrying that stuff that's stopped them from communicating, or simple thing as an argument, so they want to build up that relationship again. And I think this is isolation kind of forces you into thinking about your relationships, where you are in your life, and that. And like you're saying, I've been watching all the amazing businesses that are now coming up. You see Indigenous owned, Aboriginal owned businesses on Facebook. Not just clothing, but exercise programs and well-being programs, and programs, chats like this. Darty Munro. They do great work in the space community. They have great conversations and that sort of stuff. It's just amazing. But one of those conversations, when you say things amazing, sometimes I get a bit guilty about even saying that because we really do forget how real amazing we are as a people. Sometimes when you say it, when I say it, like I said, I work in family violence. We started off talking about some of the men don't talk about this, men don't talk about that. Well, a lot of my work is sitting in the room with a lot of non-Indigenous people, and that when I give a good line, good story or good outcome, you do get the reply, "Oh, well, that's amazing." Well, I kind of get insulted a bit with that.
Yeah.
Because it's like they don't really understand how amazing we are when we're on our best, when we're connected, when all that sort of stuff. What's amazing to me if someone doesn't come back for it through the system.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, brother. Well said.
Yeah. What's amazing should be that they come back, that they're back in it. Not because that's like I said, it's the power and the strength. So a lot of my work's education, but like I was saying earlier, I'm just amazed on the connection that's happened over this whole period.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. And Jan Hogan said, "Well said, Alfie." So, so well said. And we've got Kyle Dancy watching as well. Kyle's here on the Gold Coast, I think. G'day, Kyle. How are you, brother?
Hey, Kylie, how you going, mate? Yeah, no, I'm Kyle's probably he works for a fellow by the name of Preston Campbell, Alfie, and Preston's got a coffee shop. So we talk about businesses. Kyle's actually, one of the he's the manager of the hospitality, the coffee shop business that is a business that gets trains up young people in hospitality.
Yeah, they do a wonderful job. Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of their stuff is quite healthy as well, so they draw on a lot of bush tucker, ingredients for their, even their little slices and stuff. So it's pretty, pretty good, and it's great that that we can bring that kind of food to the table. You know what I mean? And there's a lot more of it happening around the country as well. I work a lot about in businesses as well, so I've been involved in have a business of my own over in North Stradbroke Island. Pizza shop. Give it a plug, Jack.
Give it a plug, brother. Give it a plug.
So, and my son's now taken over. He's a bit of an entrepreneur, and he's also increased the business. He's added in coffees and breakfast foods and now lunch foods, and he's actually increased the business. But also on the side, he's got his own gym. So. He trains people as well, so he fattens them up, and then he helps them lose them.
That's smart, brother. That's smart.
Well, I mean, it's kind of it's there's a lot of that sort of stuff happening around the country, and people are it might be because we're our work slowed down, and we need to think of other things to do. All those opportunities, all those little things that we've been thinking about that we never got to, and we start to do them. So that's a really good thing that happened. During COVID, especially in isolation. And you're right. Having conversations with the partner, my wife, sort of thing, and even my sons. It's been really good. It's brought us a lot closer together.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like I was saying, I think we're coming out of a period where everything about us has always been so dirty and disgusting and broken, and we're portrayed that way. And we, as a people, like I was struggling to come. How am I going to talk about myself on here? Because I'm not used to it. Because it's always about, like I said, it's in the back of my head. It's what if I break down? But starting a sentence with "I do this, I do that" is one of the hardest things to learn. And what I'm talking about there is not to be ashamed of being, for achievements, not to be ashamed that at some time you'll struggle, not to be ashamed of that, to be strong enough to admit it, especially when you got that support. And like I was saying, we're coming out of a period where everything has always been, you look at funding, government funding and that. In order to get it, we've got to make ourselves look that broken, and we're competing against other services and that are doing the same thing. And then it's like, well, no wonder there's always been this struggle because if you're doing well programs and ones that work don't always get the dollars. It's literally
100%.
how bad you got to look to get the dollars and portray us as a people. Where I think that's changing. They're looking for more outcomes, and we're pushing that. So it is literally about the outcomes, not from you can explain the situation, but we don't have to do that no more because of the growth of our people and the strength that's happening. And I love it. Look, I was going to retire. I'm going back and living on a farm somewhere, but every now and then I hear a good story, a great story, and it's like, yes, this is what keeps me going.
Yeah. Now, Alfie, I think you're spot on with what you said. I mean, 100%. We totally agree with you. And what we've been talking about is that self-care around, even during this time. We should be doing it always, but especially now, we need to have that self-care, and we do need to look after ourselves. But we also do need to celebrate what we're doing well, pat ourselves on the back, and say, "Geez, well done, Alfie," or "Well done, brother," or there's nothing wrong with it. There's no shame in that, because we do things well. Everyone does things well. We just need to celebrate it more and not have that shame, because it is a little bit hard for us to talk about, what we have been doing well or what we are doing well.
Yeah.
Isn't it strange, Alf? Like like you said, the more or less the squeaky wheel gets all the grease type of stuff. But when things are working well, and you quite people say well, they don't need support. But hold on, if it's working that well, how come we aren't expanding this? How come we aren't putting more resources behind it to expand our reach, and to work with other communities, or go to the next level, like for instance, start up an education program or an employment program now, and build that into the whole project. You know what I mean? It's kind of like saying, yeah, no, that's good. They've done their job, and that's really good. Congratulations, and let it go. But you need to build those successes and say, well, okay, where can we go with this now, and throw some more support behind it. I think that's where it's at, but. But then there's a bit of noise elsewhere where people need stuff, and that's where the money goes, or that's where the support goes to.
And that's part of some of the stuff I was talking about. Look, I look at it as programming. We were programmed to not, for more or less, have a fear of success.
Yeah.
And part of that program is not to pat you on the back, not to talk about yourself, But we're coming out of that, and that's what I'm saying about this COVID. They're starting to realise, hey, no, look, I'm worth something. I have something to offer. This, for myself, it's about sitting back and having a good think and a good scope of everything I'm involved in, and realising I've got to take a break. Realising, setting boundaries and that for myself, things I've never done really in the past,
100%.
because I've always been willing to help. But I know the importance of taking that break, picking up that phone and just calling somebody that look, I'm struggling with this, and just talking. You don't really have to say anything. Can you just hear what I have to say? And that's it. You don't need that response. And other times it's like, hey, look, I'm struggling a bit. This and this is happening. What options have I got? Because I just can't think of it, because I'm stuck at the moment. And I've learned to pick up that phone. I've learned to talk, and I think that's one of the hardest steps. But
Absolutely.
I've been up there, fellas like Jack in my life, and I mentioned Darty, Alan Thorpe, and it was Rossi Morgs, I'm sure you said earlier. A legend in our community, been there, done that, absolute champion, the work he does. I've got a son in doing one of the programs and that. I've done programs to look at myself, and I get invited. I always get invited to be like a guest speaker and that, but I end up joining in, and I'm like, every opportunity I get to get rid of something, but at the same time celebrate. Like I said, I'm a proud grandfather. I'm a proud father, and uncle, and there's birth and death happening all the time, but it's like, how do I handle it? And I can only handle it with the support that I have.
Yeah. Well said again, brother, because, something that's come out of our work over the years, working with our fellas, is that, wherever we go, and it doesn't matter, anywhere in Australia, our fellas say we can't do it on our own. We need support of others, and we need the support of our women. So it's something that's really, really, it's real. You know what I mean? So what you just said then is absolutely so true, brother, and it's beautiful to hear. So
yeah, we are programmed, mate. And a lot of assumptions. We talked about this. JB and I talked about this morning about a lot of assumptions and by other people about Aboriginal men, for instance, that they're right. They'll look after themselves, all that sort of stuff. But and sometimes we do, we do this stuff, and we do talk about it, and sometimes we need another fella to talk to someone about, to make sort of unleash, I guess, some of the issues we've got and some of those emotions that we have built up. And it's sometimes it is it's pretty hard to do that stuff. But I know that we talked about it this morning, Jack, and it's about those assumptions. We assume, and you know what? We believe it ourselves. We believe all those assumptions about us, and we kind of we carry that stuff, and we shouldn't be doing that. We should say, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Some thoughts about this or that, or bushfires, or whatever it might be, or relationships that I need to get out, and I think that we need to stop thinking that we are what those assumptions are ourselves,
And I think you're spot on again, CJ, and I think Alfie said it before. If you get told enough times that you're a no gooder or whatever, you start to believe that. You know what I mean? So here's the time for us to be able to now regain our place in society. So it's about us fellas taking responsibility for what we do, and I think we're starting to do that. So I think it's really important that we keep this shift going, because it's so important, if not for our own lives, but for our kids and our grandkids and these so future generations. So if we can regain our place, it goes a long way to helping our women, our kids, and whole of communities. So yeah,
it's literally about it's changing the narrative.
Yep.
And what I'm talking about there was a story that was told for so long about us, especially about our men. And part of colonial practices is to do exactly that. You disempower the men, take it away, and they can do whatever they want to our women and our children. But like I'm saying, we're coming out of that. As men, coming out and hearing just greater strength, and our men doing more. Men stepping up, the yarning circles, the fantastic work, that youth followers do, and other men across the state. Watch this. There's this fellow, Joseph Huey.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of sitting on a panel with him, and sitting next. You can literally feel the glow off him.
Yeah. He's a good fella, Joseph.
I've never met this fella before.
Yeah.
And he's from up there, Queensland, cruising. He's going, you got to come up there and get me one. So you don't get me one of them little planes. They might have wings, but but absolutely just glowing. And you can feel the presence on this young fella and the work that he does. And
beautiful man.
More men like him stepping up across the country. And I grasp those things. They're the things that's like, wow. Reminds me, and it's not about, how deadly am I? Not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's literally, I walk up the street smiling, and in places like Torquay, strangers start smiling back. I go up to the counter smiling, where, if I'm having a bad day and I'm walking up, and you got to realise these people, the people working behind the counters probably get grumpy people and people who aren't happy, and it's their job to say, hello, how are you, how you going? Right, good day. But as soon as I go, no, I'm good, and how are you? Next minute the head comes up, they're smiling, and we end up having a conversation. And it's what you portray. It's
so true.
It's literally our magic. And a lot of the time, like I said, we've been told or programmed not to feel it and even not to see it. But when you see a man glowing, a woman glowing, then you end up seeing the kids glow, and it is absolutely magic, and I love it. Look, yeah.
Well said again, brother. Well said again. And it is true though. Like if you are in a supermarket or whatever, and you know, people that's part of their job. They have to say, "How are you?" But when you say, as you said, "Yeah, I'm good. How are you?" That's when the real conversation starts. You know, so someone's showing an interest in what I'm doing. You know what I mean? So yeah, beautifully said, brother. Beautifully said.
It can be a bit daunting sometimes when you're in a, especially if you're at the shops or whatever, and you got any black fella there, you know, and as soon as and you could say nothing, and that might be okay, but as soon as you say something, the whole thing changes. You know what I mean? It kind of like you say, "G'day, how you going?" I'm going really good. You know, what's happening, all that sort of stuff, and I find that quite, you can tell when people are a bit dubious, I guess, and standoffish, and you go and say, "Hello, how you going?" You know, that type of stuff,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden their whole demeanour changes. You know, and I said, "Oh, I'm good, thanks for caring." You know, more or less.
That's right. Exactly right. Again, so well said. We've got a couple other people we need to say good day to. David Eric Sutton's watching. He said, "Hello, everyone. Hope you're all had a great week." G'day, David. Yeah, I've had a good week. So yeah. Lisa Bullman's watching. G'day, Lisa. Jan Hogan said, "We all need someone to talk us up when we can't do it ourselves. Celebrating achievements needs to be consistent and loud."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
What
we've
you
got
give
Charlie Knight watching down there. I think he's in Bendigo, Charlie. G'day, brother Charlie. How are you?
Bendigo? Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure Charlie's down there in the Alfie or Charlie Knight.
Yeah, he's over Bendigo way. Jar Jar
Yeah,
Warren
yeah,
country.
yeah,
It'd be a top. Been
My
cool.
grandmother's country.
yeah. And David Eric Sutton said, "What you give out to people, you get back." So,
Yeah. I see Steve Morris Khan's watching as well. So good day, Steve.
g'day, brother Steve up there in Darwin.
Yep. Brother Steve. Yeah, no, good on you guys. Yeah, I guess so, mate. You know, and yeah, that's it. I suppose I say hello to as many people as I can on the beach in the morning. But I find now that they're saying hello back to me first. You know.
I'll just tell you, Alfie, Charlie's a bit of a celebrity up here on the beach. You know, walking along, everyone's saying g'day to him, and you know, yeah, you have to come up and witness it, brother, because he is a bit of a celebrity up here.
It's a bit hard for us follicle challenge followers, but I can't wait till he just get all grey, mate.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah,
Alfie, you broke for the Tigers?
Yep, whole family, mate.
How they going, brother?
Oh, don't you start. No, when we won the granny, we were 6 and 7.
Yeah, no, I do know that. I do that. Just having a little bit of fun with you, brother. Just having a little bit of fun.
But this isn't. I'm starting to say that this isn't a season. This is like practice matches for the rest of the year because of the win loss.
Well, now they've brought in that there's going to be a few different hubs. One in New South Wales, one up here in Queensland. Some more sides are coming up here as well, and I think there's going to be another one over in WA.
Yep. I don't know, this whole format, two games, same ground, one after the other. The fake crowd. I'm still trying to get used to that.
That's pretty.
How good are the controllers to put on that when the goals kick? Yeah, you hear that, and then you hear some boos sometimes when well, it's the power. It sometimes has me thinking too around some of I'm not saying you see reports, all that sort of stuff, and it's about if they can do that at that level, what else can they do? And I'm not a conspiracy. I have conversations and all that sort of stuff, and it feeds back to the stuff we were talking about earlier. Around that portrayal of us as people and everything like that. And they're the sorts of things, it's a game of sports, yes. But the amount of work to go in to protect everybody to get that game. And I don't think people sometimes don't realise the importance of sports. in times like this. You know, it's the distraction, it's the togetherness. You know, whether you're black or white, you're a Richmond supporter.
Yeah.
You know, and it
Yeah,
does bring together.
we'll forgive you for that, brother.
Yeah. Hey, look, I barrack for the Maroons, mate. You know, my whole family from New South Wales, VIC, but I do go for them, state of origin. I get a lot of flack for it,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm
I bet
also
you
one
do.
of them fellas in a room full of blues. I have to be the odd one out. It's just me.
It's good to be different, brother. It's good to be
Yeah.
different.
Speaking about the Blues, how did they go on the weekend, mate? Jack?
I don't want to talk about my side. I don't want to stir Alfie up. Nah, look, we've had a couple of wins, which is good. So the Blue Boys, a little bit disappointing last night, but hey, that's the way it goes. So
You know, sometimes false hope can be good for you too.
why don't you just shoot me down, Alfie?
Hey, but the Melbourne Storm got a win last night, a big
Yeah,
win.
that's my other side, the Storm. So
Yeah. What 2-pointer? It was a great game. I watched it. It was fantastic.
I wish Charlie Fay was on here watching because we could have a little bit of a dig at him because he breaks for the Roosters. So he's always cock-a-doodle-doo on Facebook and talking about how great the Roosters are. Well, here's one back for you, Charlie Fay.
Yeah, it was a great game. I sat up and watched it. It was like they had extra time, and yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. Leading up to that extra time was pretty good. It was just like an AFL game. They were kicking goals and kicking field goals.
And, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Now,
go on.
What have we got on for the weekend?
No, like I say, my mate that comes down, he's been staying. We've got a couple of horses here on the property, and he looks after them. One's his and one's my son's. And he comes down and looks after them, stays for a couple of weeks at a time, that sort of stuff. He's lost his. It's strange because he's been more or less part of my family for the last 28 years. You know, living with us off and on. We've always had, I don't know, we've always had that one gum, I'd say, that's always been part of the family.
Yeah.
Always. Even when I was little, we had one living in the house, mum or aunties and uncles. So there's always been that one. He's our one.
Yeah.
As I say, he's part of the family. All the kids call him uncle, but he lost an uncle, his dad's brother, last week, 89, that sort of stuff. But now then a couple of days later, another one, his uncle's other brother passed away.
Oh, okay.
And he's just come back. He had the funeral today, and he's only just come back. And I'm looking forward to going and seeing him and sitting down and giving him a bit of support. Give him a big hug.
Yeah, our sympathy goes out to Uncle there. So yeah, it's always hard. Doesn't matter what age they are. It's always hard to lose someone. So our respects and thoughts go out to Uncle there. So
yeah, and he talks the way he talks is like, oh, my cousin's dad passed away, and I'm going, what? Your uncle, was it your cousin? And then he's going, no, my cousin's uncle, and I'm going, isn't that your dad's brother? He goes, yeah, and I go, well, that's your uncle, and it's like, come on, mate, you've been living with us for how long?
Yeah. You should know that. Know that talk.
This fella jumped in the grave and helped dig the grave, my father's grave. He helped dig my brother's grave. You know, he's always been family, and he's grouse. He literally is, but it is hard.
I've got to say, bro, I haven't heard that word for a while. Grouse.
Yeah. I too. I use it all the time.
I love hearing it. It brings me back to childhood and youth, brother. Grouse, yeah.
Grouse, everything.
Well said, brother. Yeah, love it.
Groovy, man, but no, I won't go that far. No, but it is, having them someone like that with me, and like I said, he's always been part of the family, and sometimes I've got to kind of remind him about our relationship. He's not black, but his spirit is. His spirit touches it, and he understands and he gets it, and he cops a bit of flack every now and then and that sort of stuff, sometimes from his family, but like I said, the way he describes it, his cousin's dad and cousin's dad's brother, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, and sometimes it makes me smile when he talks like that.
Yeah.
Because that's his language, that's their language.
That's how he does
and
it.
trying to correct his language would be like him trying to correct mine.
Yeah.
And it's just like, no, look, that's you. That's how you describe it. But he straight away, he's like, yes, I know. But I do love the bloke. I love the bloke. Like I said, yeah. There's one thing I've learned, and that is to tell people how much I love them and how much I appreciate them while they've been part of my life and what they do for them. And I don't think, like I said, for a long time, didn't do it. Just thanks, bros. That's it. No worries. Thanks. Not even a hug. It used to be the handshake. Now I'm a hugger. For COVID is just killing me.
Well,
I'm a hugger.
We've been talking about this, Alfie, and it keeps coming up too. Me and CJ are both big huggers too, and that's probably been the biggest thing for us over COVID, where you can't do it, and then it's been driving us crazy too. And the other thing, I guess, for us is that we miss our work dearly in community, so that's been the other hard thing as well. So yeah, look, it's there's been some good, there's been some bad. So you weigh it up and you get on with it. So
it's physical connection, but like I said, getting back in touch with I'm a firm believer in our cultural power, that sort of stuff, and our spirit does travel. You've got to believe that. I've seen this thing that's saying hugs. You know what hugs stands for, eh? Hugs help us grow spiritually.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And how true is that?
That's great.
But that connection is always there. You think of somebody, you're there with them. You don't literally physically have to be there. And if you want to make contact, pick up the phone and ring them. Simple.
Yeah. Now, did you hear CJ what he just said then? That's grouse.
That's grouse.
That's grouse.
Now you got me talking like you now.
Yeah.
Hey, but we've got to be grateful as well. We've got to be grateful for those little things that you might take for granted sometimes, and you think, oh, hold on, no, that's really good that you did that, or you said that, or whatever, And I think we need to, say thank you a lot more than we normally would do, because and have a think about what just happened, because sometimes we miss it, we miss it, and when that person was really, trying their best to, do something nice or say something nice, and you breeze over it. You think, oh, hold on, no, sorry, thank you for that, what you said, all that sort of stuff. You really need to acknowledge, kindness, I think. And,
absolutely.
Absolutely. No, it's
really. And I think
nice.
When we're going back into the workplace and all that stuff, it is literally about sometimes you're sitting over here watching your co-worker and sometimes like they're not doing what they're supposed to. But if you sit back and literally look at what they are doing, there's nothing wrong with getting a little bar of chocolate and writing a little note. Look, I noticed what you did the other day. You don't have to put your name to it. Just put it on their desk. I noticed what you did, and I like the way you did that, or I appreciate your part. Improve your space around you. Start with your workplace. Start with your family, friends. Just a little bit of acknowledgement goes a long way, and I think we need to do more than that and take advantage of and think about when we come back into physical contact. Ring people up. Just say, look, I acknowledge you for everything. I acknowledge the fact that you're here. I just want to acknowledge you. That's all. And I think if we do more than that, then we're definitely, our spirit will get stronger and put us in that right frame of mind.
Well said again, brother. I mean, beautifully said. Now we've got a couple other comments there. Tracy Hilton said, you are providing space and time for some spiritual hugs here. So, yeah, thanks, Tracy. We try a little bit. And Jan said, love that helps us grow spiritually. Hugs to you all. So that's beautiful. Well said, yeah.
Jan, back at you, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Everyone else here, I suppose. Yeah. So, no, listen. How good is it going to be when we get back together? You know, how much do we miss people? You know, miss that family member or miss that friend. You know, and I think when that happens, I think we really need to tell that either by a hug or actually just say, you know, oh, I missed you so much. You know, that type of stuff. And I think that it's going to be special, isn't it?
Yeah, and look, love too can be overwhelming. You can
Yeah.
get, start get anxious and get a bit of anxiety coming back into that space, and it's
Yeah.
like, well, I think that's where it's more important to talk to who you need to coming back into making physical contact again in the workspace and out there because love literally can become overwhelming sometimes. And I think we don't talk about that enough. As much as we have problems and get stuck in situations which can become very overwhelming and it's easy to go back, but also love can be overwhelming, and we need to recognise that. And there will be a lot of nervousness coming back into the workspace, coming back into physical contact. But if we do that acknowledgement with that and get those acknowledgements back, it'll just make it a hell of a lot easier. Like I said, I'm nervous, but just thinking about it. Sometimes I get a bit of a tear because I do love my work, I love my people, and I just want to get back out there. But at the same time, like I said, it's got to be done in small steps, or it can be overwhelming. And it's important that we share those feelings and emotions coming back into it.
And I suppose you spot on again with what you're saying, brother, and especially for those people that have been living on their own, and we don't want to overwhelm them, with the big rush of everyone coming together and those sort of things, So I think you're spot on with what you're saying, and it's about keep checking on those people that are living on their own, and we're lucky we've got our partners and our kids and those sort of things, but again, we need to look after those ones that are alone and living alone. But then again, same thing when we do happen to be all come back together, we also need to be aware of that overwhelming love, if you guess. I guess what I'm saying. So, yeah.
Yeah. We talked about that a bit today, Jack, didn't we? Like, you don't know, do you? You don't know how someone's feeling,
Yeah.
And so, although you might be bursting at the seams to give someone a hug, you don't know what that other person has been through over the COVID period, and so you probably need to, be mindful of that, and find out, how things have been, and sometimes they just need a hug, you know what I mean, and sometimes they probably just don't need it, Sometimes, I don't know, it's you, yeah, it's a tricky thing, but I guess that you feel inside, where where you really want to, jump in, I suppose, and express that. But sometimes it might be that that person you're going to be talking to or wanting to show some affection to might not have had a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really well said again, brother. Too. So, yeah. Yeah. Guilty.
Is that you, mate?
Yeah. Yeah. See what we said before. Work never ends. Eh? And look, just to talk a little bit further about that as well. A lot of people have been struggling, have been reaching out for that help as well. So it's really important that we are there for them. Just to, I think, as you said before, Alfie, it might be just to hear them out and not say anything back, but it might be just to hear their story. And a lot of times it goes without saying is that we also everyone needs to have a yarn. Everyone needs to tell their story, and sometimes it's just someone that mightn't be in your inner circle. So you just need to reach out and talk to not outsiders, but of course just someone outside your inner circle. So
not everyone wants you to fix everything.
No, exactly.
Yeah, and you have 2 ears for a reason and 1 mouth, and sometimes a lot of people need to listen.
I love that.
Yeah, But it is like I said, not everyone wants an opinion. Not everyone, they just want an ear. They just want a connection, and I think that's important for everybody to understand that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Listening is maybe sometimes a lot more lot better than actually talking, I suppose. Yeah, that's right.
I think it's underrated by some people some of the time too. So,
Yeah.
it is a skill, and it is something that we probably learned and need to do better a lot of the time. So,
Because I could walk up the street and have strangers come up, I'd go outside and just sitting outside having a cigarette, and I should give them up. I shouldn't even be saying that, but I'm down to
now
a
we'll
couple.
talk about that, brother.
I'm down to a couple now, just a couple of
All
people.
right, okay.
Days when I don't have any, but literally strangers will come up and start talking to me and just telling me about their stuff. It's kind of like I got this sign, and as we talked about it earlier. When you're on, you're glowing. People just recognise. Hey, look, I feel like that. You're someone I can sit down and tell something to, and I don't care who they are. Sometimes, like I said, I'll just sit there and listen to them. Let's go and get it. I'll go and get a cuppa, and I'll come back and I'll sit down and listen to you. And I think there needs to be a bit more than that. I say do a lot of work in the cities. I see people stepping over homelessness and walking around them and that. And it breaks my heart. I stop. How you going? Hey, give them whatever shrapnel I've got, I'll still do it. No worries. And other people look at me like I'm the weird one because I've stopped to have a yarn with these mobs. But I don't let that bother me. I just do it. It's just a natural part of me now, and I've learned to embrace it.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something else that CJ and I've talked about as well. Just sometimes it makes people's days just to say g'day. How are you? And often, like it is, like I'm the same as you, Alfie, and I know CJ's the same. Have a yarn to someone that's homeless. That's they're homeless. It doesn't hurt to say g'day. How are you? And as you say, if you got some spare change there, give it to them. So.
No, it's always good, mate. Yeah, I know it's I do that a lot with buskers and stuff that performing out, and in their break I'll pull them up and have a yarn with them about what they're doing, or where they learned to play the guitar, or how long you've been doing it, all that sort of stuff, and it's quite interesting hearing their story. It gives you a different appreciation for that particular person, and I think they're grateful that that you stop to find out and to, have an interest in what they do and who they are. Yeah, it's
yeah, absolutely.
And I think part of it's literally about acknowledging that they exist.
Yeah,
and people because and it is that acknowledgement. They need to be acknowledged. For those that are struggling, to those that are doing well, even those that are doing well need to be acknowledged every now and then.
Yeah.
Not dragged down, not put back in that bucket with the rest of the crabs. It's literally be acknowledged for what got them there, the perseverance and the love and support. They got that to get there. They didn't, you know what I mean? And we don't acknowledge them, but we need to. Like I said earlier, it's literally about changing the narrative, and we do it. This here alone is helping to change the narrative.
Yeah, and I think what you're saying is spot on, Alfie. I mean, everyone loves to be told that, oh, you're doing well, like instead of hearing those negative stuff, of course, we love to hear, oh, you're doing well, brother, keep it going. You're doing great work, or, you're playing great sport, or whatever it is. I mean, everyone loves to hear that, don't they? So, yeah, spot on again, Alfie. So. We got Letitia Miller watching now. G'day, Letitia. She's here on the Gold Coast. So g'day. Hope you have a great weekend.
Yeah, I was going to say that sometimes when we started this whole thing, me and Jack, we just sat down and said, "Look, let's go live and have a yarn." We didn't expect the reaction we got from people that actually came in and listened to us. We were just a bit of a yarn and a bit of a laugh and a bit of banter and stuff like that, and people really enjoyed it, especially on a Friday afternoon like right now, because they've had a hard week and they turn here on Friday afternoon and they're just listening to us, a bit of a giggle and a bit of a laugh, and sometimes there's a connection, that happens, and it is, and I'll tell you what, it kind of helps us to keep going with this stuff. We just did it as a we didn't know what we were doing, Jack. I don't think, but yeah, just have a chat about it.
Hey, we still don't, CJ. So let's not pretend that we know what we're doing now. We still don't know what we're doing.
But the ability to talk to people anywhere, and be able to bring people on that not necessarily come onto these things. You know what I mean? And I know, Alf, that you were a bit, don't like talking about yourself and stuff, and people are like, everyone's like that. But to have the opportunity to do it, I think it's really good, and it's really interesting for us because we hear the stories, and everyone else does too. And I think that's I think it actually gives us a bit of inspiration, to tackle the. We had a hard week, yeah, sure, but this is good, and you put yourself in a good mind for the weekend, and then Monday comes around and we're back again, and we're the cheer squad, I suppose, for everyone out there to have a good week, sort of thing. It's quite interesting. It's very interesting indeed. But
and we have had a few comments like that too, CJ. That like people love having a look and ending their week and with a bit of a laugh and a bit of a yarn and nothing too serious on here, and I suppose, and we talked about this morning, CJ. Like, we have a bit of a laugh, but then we get onto some serious stuff, and we might have some some really good talks about what people's concerns and issues are. So it does help to have that bit of humour. We all know that we love our humour, and that's how we work in like everyday life as well. A bit of humour, and it does wonders for all of us to be able to have that in our working lives and in our play lives as well. So yeah.
Look, I have a huge family. I have a huge amount of friends and that, but even with that amount, sometimes I do feel alone. And it's things like this, that creates that connection. And it's important to people know through these sorts of things that you're not alone. Literally, you're never alone as long as we've got people like yourselves, that are reaching out, making contact, and we keep reaching out and doing it. And, all credit and acknowledgement to you fellas, all the brothers that have been, all the panellists that have been passed, and there in the past, and those that had to come, because it is literally about connection. So thank you all for having me on here anyway, because this is helping me, and if I just having a yarn can help somebody else, then that's what it's about.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's grouse. Yeah. Again, that's beautifully said, Alf. I mean, we do appreciate that, and like, we love to hear that. You know what I mean? So what we're going to get you to do is do a little testimonial, a live testimonial for us on Facebook if you can. So just saying, like, I loved having the arm with CJ and JB, and yeah, look, we love that sort of thing, and we want to, we're tossing up. Do we keep going or whatever, but yeah, look, we want to keep going because we as you said before, it helped you, and as we've said many times over, CJ, it's helped both of us too. Earlier on, as I said, I went through a bit of anxiety and all that sort of stuff with what was going to happen. CJ, look, same thing. So yeah, look, any connection is a good one, I reckon, with with this sort of stuff, and have a bit of fun and a bit of a laugh, So yeah.
And as for the testimonial, no, anything, bros, that, to get more people connected, anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said, brother, look, I know how much deadly work you do with our mobs down there, and it's fantastic. And sometimes, it's not that we want the recognition or anything like that, but we need to, as we keep saying, we need to celebrate what you and the lads are doing down there, what Alan Thorpe's doing down there, all the other great, Rossi Morgan, I mean, as you said, what a legend, in community, and he just keeps on keeping on, doesn't he? So, so we do need to have those talks, and we do need to recognise those people as well, So, yeah.
Definitely, yeah. And it's so great to get people on board that have got a story. Everyone's got a story, but sometimes people can't, don't get the opportunity to tell the story. You know what I mean? And it's great to have that opportunity to do that on here. But just acknowledging all the great work, especially Alfie, what you do down there. I know that you look like um, you're happy. That's important to be happy. But what do you? I know that you're happy doing what you do, and you get that satisfaction out of the work you do, and you're helping out. So what does Alfie Bamblett do for fun?
For fun. Oh, well, I've learned to play the drums. I play the
Hey?
drums.
Oh,
I play the drums. All right.
yeah,
And I learned, and I was lucky enough to have someone that shows me all these different tricks, and that's so I can play anything, play the drums to anything now. And I just like you said, I'm getting used to that eye. I'm just also learning in this over this whole period how to pick on a guitar.
Oh, yeah, beautiful.
I can't strum. I can strum probably G, C, not so much C, G, C, G, E, and D, but that's about it. But picking, yeah, I can pick to practically any song. Blues, I love. Campfire. As soon as every day when that's a nice day. Down here, prune some wood, just constantly have the fire burning all day. I mentioned earlier, get up, wake up kangaroos. I've noticed when I'm out there working, cleaning up some of the property and doing that sort of stuff in between phone calls and video meetings and that. As soon as they finish out there, fire, eagles come out when the fire is going.
yeah,
When I'm
Yeah,
out, more animals, less cars on the road. I can actually see the other side of the bay now. Before I couldn't even see that. So there's little stop and smell the roses day, as they say. Smell the roses. I have
yeah,
those, but literally, music and good
yeah,
company.
yeah.
good on you, mate. Yeah, that's great. What about
You,
you, JB? What makes you happy?
what makes me happy? I think
What do you do?
if Carlton wins, I'm happy. Oh shit! No, hang on. I got to rethink that one because we don't win too often. So, no. Look, I think I'm happy. I'm happy when I'm able to do, get out for a run in the morning, do some training. That makes me happy. That gets me excited for the day. I guess. I like to see if my family's happy, I'm happy. So that makes me happy. Yeah, just and like seriously, I love working in our communities. That makes me happy as well. It is like it is a big job, and it is something that I know all three of us are really passionate about. So sometimes it's not like a job, it's like going in there and the people that you're able to meet and the people that you stay connected with, that makes me happy too. Like all over Australia, we've got connections, because of the work we do. So it's something that makes me really happy, and sometimes the spaces that we work in aren't that happy an environment, if you like. Like with the domestic violence, with the these sort of stuff. So the suicide prevention that we do, but the people that we do meet and the beautiful people that we stay in touch with and stay connected with, that's what makes me happy. So yeah. What about you, CJ?
Isn't that?
Yeah.
Oh, look, I just think what you said, brother, was that connection, and your connection throughout your life with people. And I always love what makes me catching up with old mates and old friends. You haven't seen for ages, and how much you've got heaps to talk about, and you're telling everyone about what's happened in your lives and all that sort of stuff. That really made me happy. I really enjoy doing that. I love traveling. I love to travel and
Yep.
see new places and experiences, that type of stuff. And simple things like going for that walk in the morning. I get up and I just take off, and even though, as you mentioned earlier, getting a good day from someone else instead of me initiating it, it's great.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
having your coffee ready to the coffee shop and they call you CJ. Hey, here's your, sing out CJ, and that makes me happy. Getting that coffee makes me happy in the morning. So
Yeah.
little things, but the most for me would be catching up with the boys and the little granddaughter. I think
Yeah. Yeah.
that It'll be nice, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
What I
So,
didn't mention, right, was the fact that my missus still finds me funny, which
Yeah.
makes me happy.
Can I say there, Alfie? Is she just pretending to like your joke, or that you
No,
think?
don't worry. I test. I phone it.
Okay, all right.
No, but like you say, that sometimes it's it's after 35 years this October, I think, and then every now and then you get the eye roll. It's not
Yeah,
funny, but every now and then, like the other day, I stepped on my glasses and they were like this, and I didn't know. So she, in her head, I was having all these work meetings with my glasses like this, and the whole time, over the FaceTime and that, she's just laughing about that, just the glasses. Yeah, it's those sorts of things. You have your moments, but like I said, after 35 years, I still find doing things to laugh at me about. There's grouse that
yeah.
makes me happy.
Now we just got a couple of more comments there. Jan Hogan said you hit the nail. You hit the nail on the button, Charlie. Oh, I don't know what that means. That must be a whale saying. You just need someone to hear sometimes not to try and fix things. We're not broken. Just need a few adjustments to our thinking to calm and good-humoured way at times. The acknowledging Alfie is the key. Yes. And then she said, "Sorry, I'm tired. I think you hit the nail on the head." And then we've got Zane Hendricks watching down in Canberra. G'day, Zane.
Hey, mate, how are you?
We've got David. We've got Richard Weston watching again now. We haven't seen him for a little while, Richard. G'day, Richard. How are you, brother? And then we've got David Eric Sutton said, "JB and CJ, you blokes are deadly. You blokes bringing people together." So, yeah, thanks, brother. Thanks, David. It's that acknowledgement that we were talking about before, and we love to hear that. So, yeah.
Yeah, Dennis Jace is watching too. Hey, DJ, how are you? Richard said, "G'day, lads. Good to see you, boys." So,
Hey.
Richard, no, good on him. And Alfie, that what you said earlier, just before we read those out, was that I'm happy when I see happy people.
Yeah.
People being happy, I just cracks me up, and I feel happy too. It's contagious. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And we need that bit of fun. We need that bit of humour, don't we? We'd be a sad old mob if we we had our smiles upside down or whatever the saying is. So yeah, so really important to have that humour and I think the other important thing that's come out of tonight is too about listening. So yeah, so a really important skill that people have. Some people have, some don't. So yeah.
Well, here's a challenge, Jack. All those people listening, the Davids and the Zanes and Jans and Dennises.
Here we go.
What makes you happy? Put a comment in. That'll be good.
Jenny Wood, I like how you start off and end the week with a get together. Well, and thanks, Jenny. That's beautiful. And I think that's what we intended to do, CJ, when we first started was, Monday, say g'day. What are we going to do during the week? And then on the Friday, just a bit of a recap and what are we up to on the weekend? So nothing too serious and, just get together and have a yarn and we love it. So, yeah. So thanks to everyone for watching and comment too. And Jan, again, lovely to meet you, Alfie. You're all made me smile, laugh this morning. Have a good weekend. Oh, that's beautiful, Jan. You have a great weekend too. Well, not until tomorrow, I think, for her, but yeah.
Did you say Jan's in Wales?
Jan's in Wales.
The new head of Family Safety Victoria, that's the Family Violence, the department. She's from Wales.
Okay.
Yeah, just starting to get to know her, but she's did a lot of work around women's safety and that sort of stuff. So, there's a connection there. So,
see, look at that.
Yeah.
There's another connection, brother.
Yeah, there is a connection, and Jan's been working in. She's worked in education, but she works with what do you call it? Jack, multicultural sort of groups, you know.
Yeah, the minority groups, yeah. And
That-
she was sorry, CJ. She was a big part of that project a few years ago called "Give Racism the Red Card." So it's pretty big I don't know project, I suppose. Yeah, so have a look at that. Google that one.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's more of a connection there, Alfie. You know.
Yeah, no, probably is.
Yeah, may very well be. Yeah, Tracy Hilton said that she's happy doing garden work and finishing little home tasks keeps me going. David Eric Sutton says family and friends and meeting new people makes him happy. So yeah, up there, guys. It's yeah, we'd love to see what you guys
Absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic.
All right, fellas. Lovely having a yarn to you lads. David Eric Sutton, Alfie, you'll have to my phone's going off again. See,
I missed that.
Let a few jokes rip, reckons.
I missed that, Jack. What?
He said, Alfie, you have to let a few jokes rip, he reckons.
I got to laugh because you kept breaking up. Then Jack couldn't say it because the phone was ringing. I couldn't hear anything, so I missed it completely.
See the challenges we have, Alfie.
It's grouse. Put a smile on your face.
Well, the way that CJ and I look at it, it is what it is, and you can only do what you can do.
Nah, that's it.
That's it. You can only be what it is. That's right, Alfie. Jan says a cup of tea brought to me in bed in the morning makes me happy. Borada means good day to your new colleague. Teach you some Welsh, she reckons.
Oh yeah.
And Dennis Joe's reckon it makes me happy just to potter around, just moving from one thing to another, whether it's doing jobs around the house or the ultimate around the campsite. So very nice. Yeah, I think that'd make me happy too. Actually, we talked about this just recently, Alfie. We talked about something happening in November, so stay tuned. I think we're going to try and do something.
Yeah, we are, Alfie boy. We will try. We're going to try and get something up. So,
yeah, our NAIDOC's in November.
Oh, it is true. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. They can change that.
Yeah, only because, well, look, there's been a couple of events, online events and that sort of stuff. There's going to be over the next week and a half, I think. But, like I say, there's another big thing that misses out. Now, that connection has always been that part of NAIDOC, but, you know, make the best of everything. I can't wait with that. I'll tell you what, it's going to be one big celebration in NAIDOC.
Yeah, and it's going to be important too because, you know, like we had to postpone it and take it to November. So it is going to be important for us. So, and it will be one big celebration, I think. So look out. Yeah. Who's got the national one? Who's got the national one this year?
Not too sure.
Me either. I don't know,
mate. CJ?
I don't know.
No.
Yeah, don't know, mate. No. I don't know what's happening with because our NAIDOC here is, you know, obviously it's not going to be on, I suppose, and I haven't heard much about it because there's usually we have a pretty big NAIDOC up at Musgrave Park in Brisbane.
Yeah, but it's been changed in November.
Has it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. Well, that's good. I mean, let's have when we go back. November 1 in July.
Yeah.
We'll keep it going. Yeah.
NAIDOC started in January.
Yeah, that's right.
That's it.
26th of January. And it's July. Now it's moved to November.
Ah.
That's right. Yeah. Yep.
There you go. Yeah, no, keep it happening, I reckon.
All right, mate. Lovely having you, Alf. Thanks so much for your wisdom and your knowledge and your humour. You've been grouse.
Grouse bloke, that fella.
Yeah, grouse bloke. Have a good weekend. Thanks for coming on. We might have to get you back on for round 2 at some stage.
Yeah,
anytime, fellas. Look, share the love. Love yous. Thank you very much for having me on. I'm honoured to be on it. And I definitely acknowledge the work that you do. And I want to acknowledge all those that are watching and listening. you know, I want to acknowledge them too and pass on. You aren't on your own. You're never on your own. As long as there's people like you two that are reaching out and making connections and helping that. So thank you.
Oh, that's beautiful, Alfie. And I love you too, brother. I love you too, CJ. Thanks for being part of it.
Love having you, mate. But I just said Richard Worston
Yep.
say that NAIDOC in the
National
Alice Springs,
Alice Springs, yeah.
November. Wow, that'll be warm.
Yeah, it will be warm,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, yeah.
Might get invited.
Thanks for coming, mate.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right then, fellas. No worries.
You have a good weekend.
Thanks, lads.
Bye.
Yeah. Both of us. Bye for now.
Bye for now.